Good day, friends. I hope you're doing really well. This is Tracy Brown, and my team and I provide trauma-informed nutrition counseling for healing all kinds of food and body image-related maybe worries or frustrations, and also just in general how to feel more safe and resilient in the body you have. So thank you for joining, and those of you who are watching the replay, thank you so much for coming and obviously sharing this also with people that you care about that need to hear this message and this option. I think so many times when I know in our personal experience with our team here, me and the three of the dietitians that work here, is that we find sometimes that people are so shocked by, I never knew this stuff. Didn't know I had an option not to diet. I didn't know I had an option to navigate my health in a different kind of way. It's amazing. It's shocking. It's frustrating. So anyway, that's what we're going to talk about today a little bit. I'm really excited for this topic because, again, we don't talk enough about, we talk about like getting rid of the binging or, improving nutrition. That's what we think this is going to be about. But the reality is that we are cultivating new neurobiology to be able to be present, to look at the big picture of everything we're doing, and is it supportive? All right. So today I want to talk about 4 qualities that I see in people who not only go on to improve, but restore a good relationship with food, body, health, movement, and being out of chronic fight or flight, because that's what takes the toll, and dissociative behavior, because that's what takes the toll on our organ systems as well. So, number 1 is that people start to recognize that, again, all of the things we work on, this isn't a program. It's a process. It's a process, because you're going to go through layer after layer until there's not really much left, and you know how to manage when you do get kind of when the idea pops up, that you don't immediately like just agree with that idea. You're like, that's a diet thought. Like, it's been a long time since I've had that. Where did that come from? And how in the world am I thinking, oh, this reminds me of whatever past experience? But what they learn is that patience and being willing to experiment, and even being willing to have some trial and error here, is the key to, I don't like the word success, but the key to progress for sure. People, of course, understandably, I've been talking about this for years, understandably come to non-diet principles and recovery in a very, here's a program, and then I'll just need to be here 12 weeks, and then I'm perfect and fixed and no problem, and I don't hate my body anymore. It's not like that. We're really looking at a total renewal of the mind, and that takes time. It takes patience. It takes trial and error to figure out what resourcing helps us in what situation. When is it appropriate to like do some distraction? When is it appropriate to like really sit in those feelings? When we do the right thing with our food, even though it feels really bad, those kind of things. All right. So that's number 1 part, having patience, cultivating that, because let's say it took you 14 years as a teenager, or if you're a teenager watching this, or you're 30 or you're 70, we've been in some of these disordered patterns for decades sometimes. So it's going to take some patience to replace it and almost exclusively use the new things that are health enhancing and don't cause side effects. Okay. Well, number 2 is, this is interesting, but I really searched my own heart, like what was beneficial for me, not just me, but everybody we've ever worked with. There's a level of like not taking no for an answer, meaning like I'm not gonna accept that this is all there is for me. We talked about earlier in the video that knowing that not dieting is a total health option. Not hating your body is something we choose, and then we learn how to do it. If you've been programmed to hate yourself unless you're thin, you didn't choose that, and it's now your neurobiology, but you can choose to, again, cultivate something that produces goodness. Okay, so when I say not take no for an answer, it's not that like we're going to be feeling great about everything, and it's not going to be that there's not ups and downs. It's that like you're really focused on the point of all this long term. What you're hoping to, there's a little bit of a vision here of what you want your life to look like. Okay, and not the thin dream romanticization kind of stuff. It's like, you know good and well that if all food fits and is welcome, but it's up to you and your team to kind of figure out like what combination of wins are supportive to your body, that that's going to lead to long term more peace. So you're thinking of like, I'm eating doing this experiment to have more peace. And sometimes the peace comes immediately, sometimes it has to cultivate a bit, but it's gonna come. Okay. Number 3 is, this is going to talk about self-rejection, self-abandonment, but they don't turn on themselves. Okay. When things feel yucky and feel hard, or like, oh, I've been slogging away at this one layer of this for a while, is, again, they don't linger very long on the thoughts or the feelings of something's wrong with me. I'll never get better. My recovery or my insight isn't going as fast as so-and-so that I know that is doing this journey too. We're making a commitment for that, is that I'm not going to turn on myself just because I had a hard day, or I didn't do the recovery thing, or that I had weight loss wish thoughts. That doesn't mean you're failing. That it's not a 0 to 100 thing. It's, oh, I had a weight loss thought. I wonder what that's about today. Huh. That's interesting, because I hadn't been feeling that way or thinking that way in like 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months. Okay, I know that every thought like that probably has a trigger and has a function. What's happening? That's the opposite, turning on yourself. That's being really radically loving and compassionate and curious, versus all or nothing, perfectionism, all that. So not turning on yourself when things are hard or people don't understand. This is a big one that goes into quality number 4. And this is maybe the hardest one of all of these. And I don't expect, it took me a long time to recognize this, to actually name this what this was. And early in my recovery as well. This is a tough one. So I'm just kind of prepping you all for this. But once you work on this, you'll see the benefit as learning to not take an offense. And it's tough because people are going to say things that you can't believe they said. Here you are on this journey, and again, trying to stay solid and keep like the bigger picture in mind, and plan out your day to get your needs met, and start to like insert more flow or joy or peace or connection or whatever in your day. And you've said, you've even spoken a boundary, and people are still going to sometimes stomp on that anyway. You can say like to a medical provider, yeah, I have a history of eating disorder, please don't discuss my weight. And they go and do it and they double down anyway. That happens all the time. Instead of like, what's wrong with me? Why won't they listen to me? It's like, they're not programmed to listen. Their training is not to listen. Their program is to like, as someone who was trained in the medical field, and I've had to unlearn so many things, is that we're not trained to deeply listen. That's kind of honestly, listening skills like that are either something that you just kind of get born with, and you're kind of good at it naturally, and you grow that. It's kind of I call it like a discernment, street smart kind of way of being in a relationship, and you really love people, so you don't want to screw them up or screw them over inherently, that you kind of got that in you. Or you recognize like, wow, chronic dieting, it sucks. It's not doing my clients and my patients any good. Let me be curious about that. And then you cultivate that skill. It's both, you can have it in you and you grow that, or you recognize that it's valuable in relationship. And then you grow that, you learn. That's not medical model training. It's like, here is what is perceived to be the problem, whether lab values or some other maybe it's not accurate, but that's just what's taught. And so once you start to recognize that you're always going to be in relationship with people first and then profession second, it helps us not take an offense. It's like, this is what they're trying to do, and they don't know, they may not have a skill set otherwise to help you. And I'm going to answer, Ellie, your question. That I was hoping someone would respond in this way, because this is like a deep level of healing that comes from recognizing the truth first, is that like you don't inherently have a bad body. You don't, and your worth isn't based on your size, even your health. That is not the determinant for unconditional love. It's just not. Now, we have to accept that we live in this human world, and people can be very conditional. And that's where the acceptance comes in, that it's not wholly personal. It's, again, when you're with another person, there's their stuff, their biases, their traumas, their way of interacting with their feelings, and how they have been trained to deal with issues. And so even though, we're going to somebody that maybe has more education or experience in something, we have to learn how to take what works and leave the rest. What's supportive and what is just, again, not listening, misattuned, whatever, or maybe not big picture. But this is the big one. And I don't expect anybody here to be an expert in not taking offenses, because it really, 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 really hurts to be rejected. People want love and to be loved and to be seen, and that's normal. It's normal. It's nothing wrong. These feelings, getting rejected, always hurts. The next step is, what do I do with this? Do I hate myself? Do I collude with things that I know aren't good for me, but it maybe pleases them, so maybe they will love me, or at least be pleased with me, or whatever? And then you always think, okay, so what's the cost of that in the relationship and to you long term? So again, we're talking about qualities that help people improve their relationship. This is one of them, is over time. I don't know anybody who's ever been to this immediately. It's learning about to not see other people's failings is something that you need to take on. Okay, so Ellie says here, yes, this is so hard for me. I may say I don't care what people say or do, but it's a lie. I get offended all the time, and it's not serving me in a positive way. Once I recognize that, it was so freeing. It's like, yeah, that's why I feel so walking on eggshells all the time, because I'm trying to figure out what people need for me to be, so everything's okay, but I'm not being authentic. In fact, I'm kind of lying, and that doesn't feel good from a moral perspective. So there's a lot of cost to it. The hard stuff is learning about the fragility, the fragility of humans that aren't able to listen, and that's still a skill set. Okay, I want to work on that because I have zero control of my emotions when I'm offended. Oh, good insight. Okay, like I can't sleep, it sabotages my eating, and so on. The cost is huge. There's a deep one of rejection here. I'm hearing, Ellie, and I'm so sorry to hear that. So I'm going to offer this, and hopefully other people, this helps them too, is what would it be like to recognize that this is your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual health journey, and you're allowed, your agenda really isn't pleasing practitioners or your family or other people based on how you do what you need to do to get well, or pursue wellness, health, we'll just call it that. And we have to be in the truth of like, is what I'm doing right now in this moment again pulling me towards that or away from that, and where does the rejection fall in there somewhere? And basically what's the tape? What's the belief? If I do XYZ, I might be protecting myself from getting rejected, aka losing weight when it's just going to, let's say restriction. Let's say you think that short-term restriction I'm just making up something. The restriction to lose weight, let's say, well, short-term, make your doctors pleased, or I'm just making up something because I don't know. and probably get some positive feedback from some people who think that's valuable. But, you know, kind of short, medium, and long term, it makes, you know, you might binge more. Or you might feel less peace around your food. So you got to look at, okay, to please people, man, in this way, the consequences of stuff. But I don't want this stuff anymore. So what do I do? We're going to have to figure out another way to some other options, put together some other options to get to where you want to go, and be able to speak that truth. And that goes back to these other ones: patience and trial and error, not taking no for an answer for the whole WHOLE, your whole self, and you don't turn on yourself. So that's what this video was about. I hope you all really enjoyed it. It was a little bit longer than usual. I was just feeling I'm really excited about this. I hope that it made sense. And if it did, put in your comments below, like, what qualities do you want to continue to work on and cultivate to help you with your relationship with food? Because all of these things, these mindsets, are going to help you do the interventions that, let's say, you've read about, that your nutrition therapist or your counselor is trying to encourage you to do an experiment with. Because it's not so much that when I'm working with somebody that I think I know everything. I've been doing this long enough, and I've got my own lived experience, that when people say certain things, I kind of know what the stronghold is around it. And we work through where a barrier is, and I wonder what it'd be like if we did X, Y, Z. And let's get some data and some information about that. I'm usually pretty sure when I suggest something that's probably going to work, but I'm never 100%. But that's the thing we want to do, is can we cultivate that as well? Yeah. Well, Ellie, I'm glad you popped in too. And I'm glad that you have some material for your session. So it won't be a dull one. That's great. So I want to thank you all so much for watching. Those of you who stuck around live, I appreciate you so much. And again, like I said at the beginning of the video, it's just important that we share these, and I think it's important that we share these messages because, one, you can have somebody else to talk to about this. If you don't have a team, or if you do have a team, the more support that feels safe, the better. We need that relationship. And two, again, it provides people options. People get desperate they know that the next best sparkly rehash of some kind of other program that's already been done in the world. They kind of know deep down in their conscience, here we go again. But if you don't know you have options, you're going to do things that your cognitive rational mind is like, oh, I don't know. But, emotionally we might be feeling, so rejected or so triggered or so overwhelmed or desperate that we'll do things we know that aren't aligned with our values. And even our own lived experience, I know if I do this, what's going to happen, but I don't know what else to do. This is what this video is for. So thank you all so much for watching. Those who just hopped in, thank you for coming. Hope you watch the rest of the video. Would love to see you put some comments below. If there's something that you want to get even more nuance about, we'll do that. And then I will see you either probably Wednesday or Thursday. I'll make an announcement about that for the part 2 of this. So when we start doing, I don't have 4 of the qualities, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about, I got them written here, I'm looking at it, but I'm going to talk about some of the saboteurs of this, of cultivating these qualities. All right. And so we can start to capture those as well. So thank you so much. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye for now.